The streets of Quezon City pulsed with energy as jeepneys roared by, vendors shouted in rhythm, and a young man named Aiden Cruz stood in the middle of it all with a tabla resting on his lap. The late afternoon sun cast a golden hue over the graffiti walls as a small crowd began to gather. Aiden's fingers danced across the tabla, creating a heartbeat-like rhythm that echoed through the street. Then, without warning, his voice burst out in rapid Taglish rap, sharp, emotional, and full of life. He sang about the struggles of the Filipino youth, the weight of dreams, and the beauty of never giving up. People stopped their errands, even the street kids fell silent, mesmerized by his blend of rhythm and rhyme. On a nearby bench, his grandmother, Lola Maria, watched with misty eyes. She remembered the little boy who used to hum lullabies and tap rhythms on kitchen tables. Now he was performing for the world, turning pain into poetry. When he shifted from rap to a soulful melody, the crowd erupted in cheers, waving their phones like stars. Aiden smiled, sweat dripping down his face, the tabla vibrating under his palms. "This is for you, Lola," he whispered softly, and the sound of his music grew stronger, carrying through the bustling streets of Quezon City, a promise that this was just the beginning of something far greater. Aiden stood at the departure gate of Ninoy Aquino International Airport, his worn-out backpack slung over one shoulder and his tabla held tightly against his chest like a sacred treasure. The night was humid, and the faint smell of jet fuel mixed with the aroma of coffee from a nearby stall. His heart pounded, not from fear, but from the weight of a dream too long chased. Flashbacks flickered in his mind, performing at small Manila bars, saving coins in a tin box, and his Lola Maria's voice telling him, "Anak, the world will hear you one day." Now that day had come. As he boarded the plane bound for Los Angeles, he glanced out at the glowing skyline of Manila, the city that had shaped his voice and his rhythm. During the flight, he gazed at the clouds, the tabla resting on his lap, his fingers unconsciously tapping beats against its surface. He imagined standing on a grand stage, facing judges who had seen it all, wondering if his music could reach their hearts. The plane began its descent over California, city lights stretching endlessly beneath him. Aiden smiled faintly, whispering to himself, "From Quezon to the world." The engines roared as the wheels touched down, and with that sound, his new journey began, not just to chase fame, but to show that a boy from the streets of the Philippines could make the whole world listen. Backstage at America's Got Talent, Aiden's hands trembled slightly as he tuned his tabla, the familiar skin stretched tight and shining under the bright studio lights. Around him, the air buzzed with nerves and excitement, contestants rehearsing, crew members rushing, and distant applause from the stage beyond the curtain. He took a deep breath, closing his eyes for a moment, trying to silence the noise. On his phone, a video call flashed, DJ Lexa from Manila. Her grin was wide and full of pride. "Bro, remember who you are," she said. "You're not just performing, you're representing every Filipino dreamer out there." Her words steadied him. He could almost hear the chaos of Manila streets in the background, the heartbeat of home. Aiden looked at his reflection in the mirror, black hoodie, messy hair, the small Philippine flag pin shining on his chest. Behind him, stage assistants whispered his name, "You're up next." He ran his fingers over the tabla once more, feeling every groove, every memory. The muffled roar of the audience grew louder. He could hear the host introducing him, "From Quezon City, Philippines, please welcome Aiden Cruz." His chest tightened, but his eyes burned with purpose. As he walked toward the glowing stage entrance, he whispered a quiet prayer, "Para sa bayan." The curtain parted, light flooded his face, and in that moment, every beat, every lyric, every dream he carried from home became one. The stage was silent as Aiden Cruz stepped into the spotlight, the massive America's Got Talent logo glowing behind him. His heart raced, but his face stayed calm. Simon Cowell looked up, intrigued by the young man carrying a tabla instead of a guitar or microphone. "Tell us about yourself," Simon asked. Aiden smiled nervously and replied, "I'm from Quezon City, Philippines, and tonight, I'll rap, sing, and play tabla, all at once." The judges exchanged curious glances. Then the music started, not from a track, but from his hands. A deep, vibrant rhythm filled the theater as his fingers danced across the tabla. He began to rap in a mix of English and Tagalog, his words sharp yet soulful. The crowd leaned in, captivated. His rhythm flowed into melody, his voice rising like a wave, pure, emotional, powerful. Sofia Vergara's jaw dropped. Heidi Klum covered her mouth in surprise. Simon leaned forward, his expression shifting from doubt to astonishment. The beats of the tabla blended seamlessly with his rap, each strike telling a story of struggle, pride, and hope. As he reached the chorus, he sang, "From the islands to the world, we rise." The audience erupted in cheers, clapping to the rhythm. Aiden closed his eyes, feeling the energy of the crowd, the lights, the moment he dreamed of his whole life. When the final beat echoed through the hall, the silence that followed lasted only a second, before the crowd exploded into thunderous applause. The theater roared with applause as Aiden finished his final note, his chest rising and falling with exhaustion and disbelief. The tabla rested quietly on his lap, its surface glistening with sweat under the golden stage lights. For a brief moment, everything went silent, then the crowd rose to their feet in a standing ovation. Heidi Klum clapped with wide eyes. "That was magical," she exclaimed. Howie Mandel leaned forward, grinning. "You didn't just perform, you created something completely new." Aiden stood frozen, tears welling in his eyes, as the judge's words washed over him. Then Simon Cowell spoke, his voice calm but filled with admiration. "Aiden, I've seen thousands of acts, but this was something else. You combined heart, rhythm, and originality. You reminded us what true music is." The crowd cheered even louder, chanting his name. Suddenly, Sofia Vergara slammed her hand on the golden buzzer. A burst of golden confetti rained down from above, swirling around Aiden like a dream. His knees buckled as emotion overwhelmed him, he dropped beside his tabla, laughing and crying at once. The audience screamed, waving Philippine flags high in the air. Simon smiled genuinely, nodding with respect. Aiden looked up through the glittering confetti, whispering, "This is for you, Lola, and for my country." The camera zoomed in on his tearful face, as the golden lights reflected in his eyes, a moment that would forever mark the beginning of his rise from Quezon City to the world stage. The sun rose over Quezon City as the sound of laughter and music filled the streets. News of Aiden Cruz's golden buzzer moment had spread across the Philippines like wildfire. From Manila to Cebu, televisions in small sari-sari stores replayed his performance, and people crowded around, cheering with pride. In a humble house in Cebu City, Lola Maria sat in front of the TV, her eyes glistening with tears as she watched her grandson's face appear on the screen, golden confetti raining down behind him. "Anak, you did it," she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. Outside, neighborhood kids banged on pots, mimicking Aiden's tabla rhythms, shouting, "Aiden Cruz. Pinoy pride." Jeepneys blasted his song through open windows, while social media in both the Philippines and the US overflowed with clips of his performance. American fans praised his talent, Filipinos called him a national treasure. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Aiden stood on a rooftop overlooking the city lights, holding his tabla close. The wind brushed against his face as he thought about home, the crowded streets, the warm smiles, and the voice of his grandmother guiding him through every beat. He whispered softly, "Para sa bayan," as the camera panned upward, showing the Filipino flag waving beside him. The scene faded with the echo of his tabla merging with the city's hum, a symbol that the rhythm of the Philippines had finally reached the heart of the world.